Hey people, I was talking about this plaque with Serpent and Isis and Eros on it, that last movie. It's a real common theme. You can see the S here, the Serpent and the Isis, and here a rose. And I was saying, it seems to mean a guarantee, to sure appease, to be, you'll sure be happy as I says. And usually with a symbol between it. And different, never the same. And sometimes the symbol of the crown atop it. And so it seems like Psi is a symbol for backwards, S-I. You can see it well here, Serapis and Isis. So I explained in that last movie about Eros and the rose. It was the same as Horus. And Google's making it harder to search images. But I found this in here on Flickr. It's real plain. And you can see he's got a tonic. I'm not sure which arms these are. You can study tonic pictures and figure it out. It's almost like a mouse tail, a tonic. And you can see it's sure appease and the fire of as I says. Sure to be happy, the pothead. Sure to appease and as I says. And his tail looks to be an ear of wheat. And hers appears to be a sword with the handle that looks like a flame coming out of a candle. And their son, Horus, is in an egg. They tied the tails of 8. And then the scarab, a B is in the scarin. And the scarin atop it. Eros, heroes, Horus. Tonit's an ancient symbol found everywhere, especially on gravestones. Comes in many fashions, but the base of a tonit is the triangle and the circle. And then all the different arms and different legs have another meaning. But the easiest one to recognize is this one with the perch. And it means the chance, the perchance atop it. And that's coming from this ancient letter Pertu. And it represents a lot bag, is what they say, where you throw lots in there, one black coin, and you reach in the bag without seeing, and you're taking a chance, a perchance, Pertu. And that simple word changes by the size of the head and how deep it's sitting on the triangle, how good the chance is. It's like you're looking at a road here. And it was down the road, it was worked upon, something that you had worked upon, and for the chance to taunt it, to taunt it the crown. So it looks like an ancient pharmacal symbol of, the erosent. So you see the aton here, sure appease, as I says, ton, and then a crown, a crown. But this one didn't have the ton, it had the vesen, and his pointing at his mouth, to call, and eros, the rose, to call the rose, to keep it quiet. And it makes me think that this thing in his hand is a baton, and is taking the place of a ton. The same here with the scarabaton, and so the scare baton. The scarabaton, the scarinaton. But this is a vest, the vesinaton. And then the coloros, the call eros, to keep, to cull what you said, the coloros. And then the light of death. So back in the day, some people said the horse meant the vehicle. And some people said, it was the drug. The mule is the vehicle and they're toting the horse. And it had to do with this worldwide method of smoking your horse. You can see him smoking. He's holding, he got his hand around there and directing it in. He's pumping the handle and he's blowing smoke out his mouth. And you can see where this vesum comes from now. You would put your horse in here, attach it to the front. And this is the vesum and this was the horse. To the vesumaton, the horse Calero's light, of the sure to appease and the fiery hot ices. So when you hear the crazy stories about Odin, just remember his horse had 8 legs. And to ride Odin's horse meant to be hung upside down under a tree as the hangman with one eye. And Serapis and Isis and Baton. So this might be called riding Odin's horse. And that's this Genesis 3:2 here, the lotto, the chance, the clue, from menu to lootage of boofing up your butt. Shall you touch it lest you die? A lootage of boofing. The naughtum time it when, the naughtum, the nautics, the night, the sleeping, the naughtum, and the other word, the time it when. And that's, but the fruit of the tree of which is in the middle is, and from the fiery, F-I-R-Y, from the fiery hots. And this little S sitting above or off the side of the X, if it was above the X, it would say, to repeat the last letter. But the way it's sitting here, it's saying to repeat both these letters, the OX. And it's from fiery hot accessor, the bottom HR, and the fiery hot accessor by took ingesigen. Little dots in the K here. I'm going to give it an I. By took, T-O-O-K, T-O-U-K, by took ingesigen, from the fiery hot accessor by took ingesigen, the way it got in up your butt. And you see here this by took in is also, by toking, I-N-G, by toking. And then the A mark underneath the G and the E become the ES. As by toking is, and then G-A-N gone. And then the dots up top is H. Is gone hemeral. Is gone hemeral him. And hemeral, that's where your word hemorrhoid comes from. And the hemor part comes from the blood flow, the hemeral him. Hemeral lotta cluminu. Hemeral lotta cluminu. It's a medical term, and it's it's the lotto. You're taking the chance. A call to a call, to a column, to a call from. And usually a menu is spelled with the E with the lower markers, but with the upper markings, this is Minnu. And Minnu is, that's the god of death. And from fiery hot accessor, in toking gestigen, hemeral him, a lot of cluminu. It's a medical procedure, a lot of cluminu. And it means a good chance, to a column from the death, from Minu. And lauded you boofing, naughtum time it when. So this was done mainly to run the evil spirits out, or to appease them, at least make them happy and quit rumbling inside of you. And this vessel being upside down has more meaning. And it was probably the symbol for under the rose for the witches. The witches use their broom for cleaning the spirits out of their pot before they'll start a new brew. And they'll whisk that broom around there. They'll hold it up along the side and spin it so all the evil spirits can jump out into the broom. And they'll whisk it around in there to clean the evil spirits out of that pot before they start their new brew. They'll indite the pentagram, and then they'll fire up the ritual herbs, and then you sweep your circle, diosel. And we'll see that word in the Hebrew and in the Greek. So this is Shirley Isis over here. She looked like the latecomer. She was the last one in the door to the party, holding the keys. So these keys that she's holding is here, spelled K-A-Y, the key. And you can see here, it's the genius contests calling, and it replaces the Vav, and you just replace it with a U, a W, a V, or an and the calling upon her on. and the call, the oi, the call, genius, contest, calling upon her on. And this is coming from the Welsh, Scandinavian, and Greek roots. And its meaning is the keeper of the keys. And it represents a keeper. You know, this is the old valve pin that holds your wheel on. It's a keeper pin, cotter pin. And you see the form of that letter right here. This is the ancient keeper pin to hold your wheel on. And they replace it with and, but, and several others. But it means, you know, connected. You'll see it here, you know, and Tamer. And here it's but it should, you know, be and from fiery. And here they'll give it a and not, but it's actually and the lot. But they'll also spell it out with the K-A-I in the Hebrew, and they'll give this a ton of meanings. But you can see the and, but, and because, all the same meanings that they'll give the vav. And so when you see the K with the dot in it, it means to pick up the lower vowel. And so that's a K, and the lower vowel here is an A. They'll say otherwise, but they can't read this. And so it's a K-A-I, you know, it's the same key. So when you see this, you know, it's and, you know, just replace it with a vav. It may be a W, a U, a V, or an and. And you see it here with a little different marking underneath, but it's still, you know, the first time read through, it's still the key, the vav. And that's the reason they do this. So the second time here, you know, it's read the K, the key. And where it's used up here, this mark says to eject the K when you come through reading the lower markings. And so then it's just read I. And so it changes the meaning, you know, from and to I. So when you see it here, you know, and said the serpent, and that's why they have to number these, the serpent said, to make sense out of it, because it's and hyphen of OPs, and hyphen of appease. And so hyphen is an ancient Greek word, we can see here, and it doesn't mean said. It means that it's indicating that a combined meaning used to join words. And so, the appease on, the chronomatados of the friendliest font on. And so appease is the friendliest font. He's the friendliest letter. The S, when you watch the Wheel of Fortune, you know, everybody calls R first, RS. It's the biggest part of your dictionary. The Phronematatus font on. You know, Serapes is the S, the friendliest. You know, when you watch Wheel of Fortune, you know, everybody says R first, but the stats say, you know, S is the friendliest letter. So I believe what you're looking at here, you know, this is a vagina. You know, the vav represents the woman. And this is a large intestine. You got that big hook on it. But you know, the vav, the W, is what makes the difference between a man and a woman. And so I believe his name's Maurice, and her name's Teresa. And the one that comes in for service is Alice, and that's the first one, to the woman. You know, in Venus I Aureum, from Immacula high at the side, assure roses you halo him. And I believe, you know, this is you, and this EALO is hello, and you pay a visit. You hello him, HIM, you pay a visit to. And says, you know, and yammer. You know, and God said, you know the meaning of yammer? It means foolish or incessant talk, yammering. Everything that God said in the Bible was yammer. Yammering, lament, cry out, loud and sustained or repetitive noise. You know, is as day has aroses, you halo him, and you visit him, and said, Alice, A-L-E-S. And Alice's word means, you know, of noble rank. And yammer, Alice is as Isis affirm. Alice is as Isis affirm. And then what to Maurice says, all seen snakes from periods. Maurice is said to mean a dark-skinned man, dark-skinned Latino, but in the French, he's a homo, dark-skinned man. Maurice is the Latin queer you see on Seinfeld. And then Alice says, I don't care. She says, let 'em out. Let 'em out. Time it win. And then, when Puff Who, seeing come, the way it's the Cealohyum, Cealo, then Hyim. And so Hyim is the Hebrew word they'll say means life. And Cealo, that could mean the ceiling, the sky, the heavens life. Or cello, your base word for cellulose, containing cells, and the cells of life. The yod, oi, the hand call. And this is most probably where your word God comes from, the yod. Every time you see ancient art of God, it's a hand out of the cloud with a call. It's saying something. Gives a different finger every time. And the Cealohyum, the hand call, to of where see. Knowing good and evil is to of where see. To see the hand call. And so when saw the woman that was good, this is the woman that brought some home to her husband. And this is Teresa. And Teresa says, you see the and T-E-R, and the A-E becomes the E-S, Teresa. S-A-E-S-A, T-E-R-E-S-A. And Teresa says it's time to harvest, coming from the Greek, born with a golden halo of hair. It's ripe, it's harvest time. And Teresa says, with oven hostile mackle here. And mackle, that's where your word immaculate comes from. Immaculate means, without a spot. But immaculate is just a spot. And a hostile mackle, a key is here. Tavi is not pleasant. Tavi is thrashing around. And Tavi, of who all loying 'em. And thrashing of who all loying 'em. And numbed the thrashing. And numbed the hostile of cycle. To make one wise is to know the cycle. And took fetch from far you. Took fetch from far you. M, you see the change, it's usually the I mark, but this is far, F-A-R, and the dot above the vav here makes this a Y-O-U, a U. And to fetch from far you. What to a call, what at in. What to a call, what at in domicile. In a domicile is your house, and your domicile. Your basilica as your kingdom, and your inasile is the place hiding, and bring it to your domicile. Laces, laces tied together. The home is, this is the laces, and there's two E's. The second one's a H-O-M, and the A underneath comes with the E, E-S. And your domicile lays home is who, a call, to go a call. And take fetch from pare you. Pare is to scrape. And to take fetch from pare you, to scrape you. What to a call, what at in the domicile, to back at the house. And the lace and laces, L-A-Y-S, and the A-E is E-S, and laces, and strings it up, and laces home, and laces homes suit jackal, to eat, that you eat, and topafine oying signs, and topafine, a drug, a fiend, and a topafine calling signs. It looks like it was laced with some topafine. And so this word isn't the same as when Puff, the magic dragon up here. She's got different vowel points underneath and has no point in the P, so you don't read them anyway. And it's just when Puff. So this is where them hippies got that song of Puff the Magic Dragon. And when Puff who oying come, when Puff who seeing come.
Don't forget, hooty hoot, tooty hoot. I won't forget.
Alright, I'm gonna cut this off here. Good day.